So, Dave, you asked another question. Do you recall the second question?
I do, because I think I just did it yesterday.
Okay.
All right, so like in the Search Console, when you're looking at the pages, and there's the different categories that Google says about your pages, not indexed, redirect, all that kind of stuff, right? You're looking at it every week. I mean, some of the stuff you're like, it's perfect. Like I don't want my account pages indexed, or I don't want
Right,
cards
right.
or yeah. But it doesn't. I have to click on it and drill down every time to look at that. Is it best to like just export everything to an Excel sheet and then the next week export it and do some kind of comparison between them to see what's different?
So weekly data exports from Search Console would be too frequent for most sites because the data doesn't change that dramatically week to week. So what I'll do is I'll log in and look at Search Console once a week and decide, is there an action need to take? If there is an action need to take, let's say there's a sudden influx of 404 errors, I will add that for my queue, do it, and then hit the validate button in Search Console. That tells Google, hey, I fixed some stuff. Will you go back and look?
Mhm.
That can take weeks. So there's no reason to pull the data every week if Google hasn't validated my change,
Right.
right? So sometimes I've seen it take a month before it gets back, and inevitably it gets back and says didn't pass, which is not great message that they deliver to my clients as well, right? It's like, thanks, Google. Like, I just cleaned up all these 404s, and you're going to deliver a message to the owner of the Google Search Console account that whatever I did didn't pass. When in
Mhm.
reality, it did most of what I wanted it to do, but it's never going to be perfect.
Mhm.
So I don't appreciate that, Google. That's just not cool, man. But so for the week to week catch ups, even though I recommend you look at it once a week, I'm not saying you fix all those problems once a week. And then when you do identify a problem that's a priority to be fixed, use to validate, and then don't pull that data until Google tells you whether they have completed their validation or not.
Okay.
So let's say you clean up a bunch of 404 errors, you hit validate. Eventually, you'll get a notification saying, hey, the validation's complete. Then it's worth looking at that and seeing the difference.
Okay.
But if there's not a problem, like you said, there's certain pages you don't want indexed, right? Then what you're really looking for week to week is sudden increase or sudden decreases, right? So you're not really looking to account for every single page on the site every week. You're using Search Console to say something significant happened,
Okay.
right? So I have a client, uh, someone is constantly pinging their search query bars with Chinese characters.
Mm-hmm.
And so because I've set up, and WordPress does it by default, set up searches to be no indexed.
Mm-hmm.
My no indexed pages is growing and growing and growing and growing as
Right.
comp,
Right.
right? So
Yeah.
I went to the developers and said, hey, weren't you going to be installing a security plugin on this? And like, oh, yeah. Yeah, I forgot. Sorry. Here it is, right? Okay, great. So now the reason I know they're pinging it because they want to hack the site, right? They're trying to do insertion. Well, now, even though the numbers keep growing, I know why. I can explain it. It's less than ideal, but it's also not really hurting the client because presumably the security plugin is protecting them from a brute force attack. Now, I will eventually return to that and go, all right, something is going on. Maybe we need to block IP addresses, something like that to figure out, so they stop. But I'm really just, the process I followed was look for growth or declines that I need to address, not is every page that I want indexed still indexed.
So then when you're looking for the growth or declines, are you taking a screenshot of Search Console and comparing it week to week? Or when you look for growth or
No,
decline?
because Search Console, the data goes back several weeks, even several months. So you can
Right.
see trends.
So you're looking at the graphs.
Right.
Okay.
And because I'm looking at the graphs once a week, I can see, well, okay, for the last 7 days, it's been pretty flat, or last Wednesday, something spiked or declined significantly. And that's really what I'm looking at trend. And if I notice something is changed, at that point, I'm going to deep dive and pull it. But
Okay.
I'd be hesitant to pull that data and archive it because it's never going to be comprehensive and complete. It's going to be what Google decides to share. And Google doesn't always index every page. Google doesn't always provide all the data. So
Right.
if you were to go and be like, oh my, this page is gone, well, that doesn't mean it's really gone. It just means it's not in the data. Right. Now, my opinion about paying for tools, and I'm trying not to encourage you. I'm trying not to sell additional tools. But if you got money burning a hole in your pocket and you're a developer, Screaming Frog is worth every dime you pay for it. And that I it's not in the Curious Ants process, but y'all get the secret insights. I run Curious Ants once a month on every client because that's going to give me real time, up to date, accurate statement of how many 404 pages am I internally linking to, and where are they, and what's the anchor text. And then I can literally export that. And one day on an afternoon, I'll put on 90s alt rock and work through all 100 internal links to 404 errors and just fix them all. But that to me is a better tool for going through the entire site and seeing all the potential problems. And when I fix the 404s or I fix the redirect loops or I check to make sure the pages that are not indexed are actually not are the ones I don't want indexed in Screaming Frog, and I fix them or whatever, then I see the data a couple weeks later in Search Console because those problems were fixed.
Okay.
Right. So for what you're doing, the better tool is probably not Search Console. The answer is probably Screaming Frog.